Welcome to the Veterinary Marketing Podcast, where it's all about helping your veterinary practice attract, engage, and retain clients. Broadcasting a new podcast every Monday from sunny Southern California, here's your host, Brandon Bashirs.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode number 162 of the Veterinary Marketing Podcast. Today's episode is for time-crunched veterinary marketers out there. Do you ever feel like you don't have enough time to do all of the marketing things that you need to do? This episode is for you. It's going to be filled with tips, tricks, tools, and strategies that you can use to really streamline your marketing process. We're going to talk about automating, scheduling, and what tools you can use to really help make your life easier. We're also going to talk about things that you should never automate. And that sounds like a bummer, but it's going to be true that you shouldn't automate certain aspects of your marketing. All right, before we begin today's episode, a few things I want to first talk to you about. If you haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you could do me a huge favor, please leave me an honest review. I would very much appreciate it. And if there's anything that you could think of that would be beneficial for you, that would help to make the podcast better, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. I was looking at my reviews today. I have a 1-star review. I'm not sure they didn't leave any feedback. And then several 4-star reviews too. So I just would love to always be improving the podcast. If you feel like I could improve it, please be sure to let me know, and I would love to try and make it better. I'm always striving to give you better content here. The other thing that I want to mention too is if you haven't done so already, jump on over to the Veterinary Marketing Nerds Facebook group. If you go to facebook.com/groups/the Veterinary Marketing Nerds, you can join and get help, collaboration, support, all kinds of good stuff going on in there. So be sure to join the group. If you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And it's just a great place to get more resources and more help. All right. Today we are talking about what should you automate, how should you automate it, what should you schedule, how should you schedule it, and then what should you never automate. There's certain things that you should never automate when it comes to your marketing. And I love automation, and I love all the new tools that are popping out, and especially as artificial intelligence gets bigger, which is really weird to say. Google has this product that is artificial intelligence where you could say, hey, buy me a pizza. It'll call a restaurant and it will have a conversation and buy a pizza for you. It's amazing. Those kind of tools are coming to marketing sometime soon. I would suspect probably next 5 to 7 years. But until that happens, where you have a computer that you talk to, like you're on Star Trek Next Generation, it's not that way. But there are tons of great tools. So I think there's certain things that you should automate. There's certain things that you should schedule. And this is going to help you to get more done quickly. If you're like me, where you have a ton of stuff going on all the time, jumping from thing to thing is really harmful in my productivity. And so I've had to do a lot of these things as well because I'm super busy. I have tons of balls in the air and I want to make sure that things aren't getting dropped. And so that being said, automation is wonderful. Whenever you set up an automation that is going to do a task that's either repetitive or easy to do or just time suck for you, it's going to be an asset that pays off over time. There's so many things that I wished I would have set up earlier. I did not set things up. And as a result, I was manually doing things and manually sending messages, and it just took so much time. But once I finally got things set up, it really helped to get so much more done. I am creating daily content for video on my YouTube channel. I'm creating 2 podcast episodes a week, plus just tons of content for clients and ad campaigns and all kinds of things. So I have to be very, very efficient with my time. And so you're probably in the same way, especially if you're a practice manager or you're a tech that's running social or you're a hospital owner that's running all your social and all your marketing and things. You're probably just out of time. So I know it can take time to set things up, but once they're set up, it's honestly an asset that's going to produce for you over and over again. So when you do something more than one time, think about this. If you do something regularly, at least once a week, or if it's taking any significant amount of time that you say, I dread doing this task, that is something that you should probably automate. And I'll give you 2 exceptions at the end here. But specifically, email is a great place to do automations because you can set those up inside of your CRM. Chatbots are great automations. Frequently asked questions are great automations. And that's also automations that you can use to attract new clients, new customers. Content is great to automate. Onboarding is also amazing to automate. So when you have new clients coming into your practice, what do you want them to know about you? How do they want them to feel about you? And how should they contact you? Take the next step. How can you retain these clients? Follow-up for different procedures is very important. And then, in general, several marketing activities and tasks should be automated as well. So let's dive deeper into this. Email. What kind of things should you be automating with your email? I think that you should be automating your marketing sequences. So you create an email campaign. And once you create an email campaign, it goes into a newsletter sequence. And that way it goes out at a regular basis, maybe once a year or something. With several clients and customers that I've worked with, we've set up email campaigns that are set up on a yearly schedule so that when we have a month that has a specific, like, either target for procedures that we're targeting or specific regional problems that happen with pets, or there's things that that okay, it's January, we need to talk about this, or it's November, it's getting colder, so we need to talk about this. And those kind of emails can go out regularly at a specific time of year, and they just go out. And it's wonderful because it helps to engage your clients, it helps to provide value for them, and it keeps in front of them. But once you have it, if you don't set it on automation, it's not going to go out. And so as a result, you lose out from the work that you've done. So this is a great place to go through the broadcast that you've created in your email marketing software and say, what could we automate and turn into an evergreen email? And I think that that's super important and really good and valuable for you to do, because you can take things that you've already created, low-hanging fruit, go turn that into an email sequence, and then it goes out and then you don't have to worry about it. So email, fantastic for that purpose. Now, the next thing that I think is important to set up would be cool are chatbots, and specifically chatbots within Facebook, because Facebook has said at their last F8 conference that they're going to be going a lot more in-depth with chatbots and messaging. Not chatbots, but messaging is going to be one of the two focuses of Facebook as they pivot their product and develop it. So groups and chatbots. And so their messaging, I apologize, they're going to have what they call intermodal messaging, which means you won't have to switch between Messenger and Instagram Messenger and texting, right? That's going to be a tremendous tool, and so building up your chatbot will be super cool. I would say that having your chatbot on your website would be a great practice, just because you're going to be able to engage with people who want to chat. Now, the thing that I would say as a caveat is you need to have a procedure for managing that. You can set up all kinds of really cool automation so that if people ask for questions on what are your hours, what are directions to your hospital, things like that you're able to automatically respond to them. But you need to have a way that allows them to escalate that and then respond in a way that's appropriate. So if somebody says, hey, I just left here and we have a serious problem, then you need them to understand how to get in touch with you if they need to and it's serious. So there are ways to do that. I think typically if you say as a response and you have an auto response, thanks for messaging us. Here are your three choices. Would you have a question about hours? Do you have a question about directions? Do you need immediate medical assistance? If they push you need medical assistance, they get a message that says, thank you for requesting info. It's important that you call us with this phone number right now. We can't answer medical questions over Messenger, so that you're able to at least get them an outlet. And if it's after hours, they could get the emergency practice that you refer to. But those kind of things are very helpful, and people more and more are expecting that they'll be able to use text and chat and the other ways that you as a consumer engage with other brands and other businesses. I think that Amazon is amazing to look at just all of the communication methods that they have, and in general, mapping consumer behavior to the different trends that are happening in the industry are very important. Not just the veterinary industry, but in general. Consumers expect that they can text, they can book online, that they can follow up online, that they can ask questions online. So integrating those into your practice is going to help attract more consumers because they'll be able to communicate in the way that they want to. So I think that that's very, very important. Now, the next type of thing that I think you should automate are frequently asked questions. And you probably have people at your front desk that get the same questions over and over and over again. And probably when you're discharging patients, same questions over and over and over again. So what can you do to respond to that? And I think that if you create content built around those most frequently asked questions, you're going to do a lot better in engaging and preempting those questions, because you can send them an email that you've created that says, thanks for coming in for a neuter for your dog. Here's everything that you need to know. And it breaks it down, and it has videos, and it shows exactly what they need to know. And it's engaging, and you can retarget these people, and then you can send out reminders and have automation built into these things. Hey, it's day 2. You need to make sure that they're still wearing their e-collar, and you need to understand that you're supposed to use this antibiotic until it's done, not till you feel like stopping it, right? And things like that are the typical questions that you hate spending time on, but it gets asked all the time, and it needs to be emphasized and followed up with. And I think if you consider content as a way to engage people and to train people, it's going to be helpful. You can even use content to onboard people in your own practice, where we have specific procedures. Instead of having to teach it every time, you record it, and then it's stored in a content silo, which is what we'll talk about here with the scheduling things. But making sure that you understand if you create a piece of content, it can be used to help scale your business, because it helps to communicate at scale. That's what content does, is communication at scale, and it's just a wonderful tool. So use content not only as a tool for engaging potential new customers, but also helping to educate your current clients and things. And I just don't see enough people using this. I have started using this too, specifically like when I take on a new ad account, for example, and they want me to manage their ad account, I send them a video that says, here's the steps on how to give me permission. And that way I don't have to jump on a Zoom call with them, and then I don't have to, I don't mind doing that, but I don't have to walk through and physically be there. They can set it up at their convenience, and then it's set up and it's finished, and it's completely clear on exactly what the steps are. And, those are the kinds of things that have saved me so much time. And I'm sure in your practice, if you started adding these different tools and these pieces of content, you would save a tremendous amount of time. And it's helpful too, because you're able to use that content on YouTube or different places that you're going to get search terms for it, and you're going to get views, and you're going to get potential people who want to work with you. And so it's just helpful in general to have that. The next thing that I think is important is automation is both onboarding email sequences and texting sequences and messaging sequences, or whatever it is, the medium that you want to be using. But you need to bind people to your practice. They need to feel like you care about them, that they like you, and that they trust you. And that way they won't go other places. So how can you do that? I think communicating through video and sending out links to videos and welcoming them, telling them why you're different, why you have the specific values that you do, what your goal is to help them, how to improve their service, all kinds of things, right, that are going to help bind them to your practice. And so those are follow-up and onboarding sequences that you can use to just engage your current clients, which are your money clients, the people that you want to come back, and you don't want to lose them to other people. So imagine getting, specific sequences from your dentist. I can think of specific human medicine people that have followed up with me in email and texting, and especially after procedures were done, and they texted me and said, hey, this is Dr. So-and-so. I just wanted to see if you needed anything. If you need help, be sure to text me. If you have these symptoms, be sure to call a doctor, type of a thing. And so I just thought, wow, they texted me. I'm sure it was automated, but it felt like it was personal at the time, because the doctors that I went to, I'm sure they were very busy. So I'm positive it was an automated text message sequence. But that extra touch, it helps to make people feel like you care about them. So I think that's huge. And then I think you should also automate different marketing aspects of your business. And what I mean by that is that it needs, when you have posts or you have content that goes out, it needs to be set up in a way so that you can either automatically push out your content to build awareness audiences, or if you have different marketing pieces out there, there needs to be automation in place to push people to get into an appointment specifically. So you need tools to do that. Or do you have a web form set up? Is the web complete? Do you have follow-up emails that go out? Really think through the funnel process, make it as easy as possible, and automate every single touch point so that they immediately get a confirmation email, they immediately get emails with directions and phone numbers and ways to contact you and preferred methods of contact and things like that are going to be very, very helpful. So that's automation. And as much as possible, those repetitive tasks that are annoying, that are things that you don't like to do, are the things that are going to be automated. Now, scheduling is extremely important in making sure that things actually get done. And I think, again, bouncing from thing to thing is so difficult in that it cuts on your productivity. So if you can just schedule out and batch produce content or videos or whatever it is that you're doing and have it pre-planned so that you don't have to make it up as you go, it's very helpful, because that's one of the things when you sit down and you actually schedule time to brainstorm topics and then you schedule time to produce those brainstorms. It is a lot faster because you don't have to say, okay, it's Monday and I'm thinking about my appointment that comes in an hour. What the heck should I make right now? And that's really difficult. So don't leave it to chance that you're going to get something done. Actually schedule it out. So I think that you need to schedule out not only content production, but you also need to schedule out content posting. So you're going to schedule your posts and post them across all of the social channels that you're going to want to engage with. I have several tools that I think are great that I use for clients. I use specifically Hootsuite, I use MeetEdgar, and I use Agorapulse for clients. And I like Agorapulse probably the best for active management of campaigns and companies, because it's very comprehensive and you can see everything in the dashboard from Messenger, respond to comments, respond to messages. It's very much a place that you log in and you get work done. And I like that because I get distracted on social channels. That's why I use things like Adespresso and other things so that I don't have to get into Facebook to do work, because it's a black hole of time wasting. So I think that there's absolutely value in that. I use MeetEdgar for my content. It does have a feature built into it that allows you to schedule out your Instagram posts, which is helpful. You have to download an app, and it sends the post to the app for you to schedule, which is, I don't like the two-step process for that, right? So it's technically scheduled, but it's still work, and there's a point of failure, and that point of failure is me. And so I don't like that for Instagram. So if Instagram is your thing, which I think for most practices it should be 100%, Planoly.com is a great tool for that. And it's a bummer to have to use multiple tools, but I think Planoly is the best in terms of Instagram scheduling. So once you create the content, though, it needs to go into a place that you can actively reference it, understand who the key target is, what's the key offer related to that, and that's done through a process called creating a content silo. And what it is just an Excel sheet that you put your content into, or if you use a tool like MeetEdgar, like I do, I put all of the content in there. It goes into the library, it's loaded up, and then it'll automatically post it out. So if you go to my LinkedIn or my Facebook page, you'll see that posts are automatically being pushed out several times a day, and I just have a huge library of content to push out there, and so there's always things going out. And that's one thing I like about MeetEdgar, is that especially if you have a big library of content, pushing it out repeatedly is helpful through a system like that. So creating a content silo, though, really helps you with scheduling, because you're able to figure out what the content's about, what the offer is, what's the retargeting audience that you're building, things like that. So that if you have somebody who steps into a position, you don't say, well, I remember we made a post about this topic a long time ago, and it would be great to repost that because we're going to be doing dental month. And, those kind of conversations that you have. Be organized. Put all of your images into a Google Drive folder that you have. Put all of your content into a content silo inside of Google Drive, and really get a feel for an understanding of what are the pieces of content that we have, how can we use these as assets, and not just post it once and then it's done, but continue to repost it and re-engage people with it. I think that that's really, really important. So that's for automation. And another thing for scheduling. Another thing that's really important too is naming conventions. And being sure to put the specific names of the topics in the URLs and in the blog post. That way you're able to really create those segmenting rules and automations for retargeting pixels, right? So if you have people that are going to your site and they're visiting pages about cats, you want to make sure that they're going into the cats audience. So you have a URL-based rule that said if the URL contains the word cats, they go into the cats segment. And that way it's automatically replenishing these people. It's automatically using the content to retarget offers that are going to be relevant to these different people. And that's the marketing automation that I was talking about too. I forgot to mention. Having those retargeting automations set up so that if somebody visits the website, they see an offer. And having that pre-planned and your funnel planned out, I think is extremely, extremely important. Okay, so back to this though. Naming conventions, adding the target audience into the URLs or the content name. That way it's very clear on what it is, who it's for, and what it's related to. And there's a few other things I like to put the date and who made it, and that way you're just clear on who made this content, what it's for, who it's for, and what you can use it for. And you don't have to go through and search through a massive document. Especially, jumping between clients, it's extremely, extremely helpful from a marketing perspective to just understand all of the assets that you have and that you can use to push out content and build retargeting audiences and all of the things that are so important for digital marketing now. So there's a few things that you should not automate, and I'm going to tell you what they are. They're actually just 2 specific things that you shouldn't automate. And that is going to be comments, reviews, and responding to reviews. I think those are things that need to be done personally, right? And so if somebody's going to take the time to comment on your post or engage with your brand, you need to respond personally because you have their attention, and I think it's something that is valuable. So especially within social media, you need to respond. And now I understand that if you're a huge brand like Dr. Andy Rourke or Cody Creelman or other large veterinary pages, Dr. Sue, it's hard because you get barraged with so many comments and messages, right? So I can understand that. But if you're a veterinary practice and you have 2,000 to 10,000 fans on your veterinary practice page and you're getting maybe 2 to 4 comments a day, those are the people that you need to engage with and build conversations. And the more engagement, the more conversation that you get in your posts, the better it's going to do, and the more distribution you're going to get. So it needs to be done from a human perspective. And if you ever find tools that automate responding to comments or responding to reviews, stay away from them, because ultimately that human touch is very, very important. So monitoring those and having an outlet to make sure that you're getting every single notification of comments and reviews and posts to your page and things like that. And then the next thing that you should never automate is obviously escalation of customer service help. If somebody needs help and they need to get hold of you, you need to have a bat line that they can get hold of you, and it needs to be, okay, if you need to get hold of us, this is the way to do it. And it needs to be super clear, and then it needs to be responded to. So if you're sending people to your email and you just aren't checking your emails, or if you're sending people to wherever, it needs to be done so that you can respond. I think a lot of people in trying to communicate with brands and businesses, a lot of times where it goes bad and you end up with a poor review is when expectations aren't met and they say, okay, I'm trying to get hold of this brand or this business and I just can't get hold of them, and it's frustrating. And so where do they go? They go to vent publicly, and that's not what you want. So I hope that this made sense. I would love to know if there's anything that you are working on or need help with. Please be sure to reach out in the Facebook group. And if you ever need help with anything, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll see you on next week's episode. Bye, everybody.